Put your hand on it. Now say, talk to me.
Talk to me. They like you.
Talk to Me, the indie horror film darling from this prior Sundance and other film festivals, is finally coming out. Thanks to Regal Mystery Movie and Fudge the Boss Hog subscription, we were able to see it early, and oh, I'm so happy we did. I heard amazing things from it from the film festival reviewers that I watch, so I definitely had my eye on this one. Talk to Me is a unique story coming out of Adelaide in South Australia, and yeah, it's very, very Australian. The accents are thick, and if you still weren't sure where this takes place, there's a kangaroo early on that nobody is confused about seeing. 'Cause Australia. Talk to Me follows a troubled young adult woman named Mia reeling from the sudden loss of her mother, which, speaking of, there are a lot of dead moms in horror, aren't there? Even the last one I reviewed, The Boogeyman, had a recently deceased mother. It's a theme, very much a theme. Dead parents are usually something to do in horror movies. There's never really a full nuclear family unless you're dealing with someone talking to them. But anyway, Mia and her friends discover an embalmed hand that, when following a simple ritual, allows them to talk to and become possessed by spirits of the dead for entertainment, taking cell phone videos and whatnot and becoming hooked on the seemingly harmless experience until it inevitably goes wrong. This is a rated R film, and it is very important to remember that, even though characters will be laughing and talking and it might not seem all that disturbing at first. The practical makeup and the violence, when there is violence, is exceptionally well done and gross yet realistic. This is a very grounded film that uses sudden bursts of violence and supernatural events to its strength. I mean, the metaphor of using possessions as drug usage and having possession parties, which is a theme early on in this movie, and it's in the trailers, it's a little on the nose. Yeah, I get it. We're doing a metaphor for drug use, and I guess you could also say that it's a metaphor for ODing, which, there's some things to explore. We'll wait for the movie to actually come out to fully go into all of that, but overall, pretty decent metaphor. The acting in this is also superb, especially from Sophia Wilde as Mia. Her breakdowns and insecurities are so easy to follow and to understand, for the most part. I'll get into that a little bit later. Her friend Jade, played by Alexandra Jensen, is also really damn good at portraying frustration and fright that her character is going through while also being likable as a kind of adopted sister. Same for the younger brother Riley, played by Joe Bird, who gives a genuine performance, again, for the most part. Other noteworthy actors are Jade's mother, Sue, played by Miranda Otto, who captures the scared and angry know-it-all energy of a mother, but is still very likable and grounded and reasonable. I like her a lot. I wish she was more in the movie. But everyone in this really gives it their all, and it seems like they all enjoyed playing their parts too, which is always just fun to see and elevates the story more. The story is also pretty unique for the most part. Again, in the climax, it does start to go down a rather predictable path though, and the ending is lovely, but I feel it could have been made better if it was a little longer. Obviously, I won't go into spoilers, but this movie has a very brisk pacing. At 95 minutes, it could have easily been stretched to maybe closer to 110 and added in some more spooks or explored Mia's deteriorating mental state, or maybe add in some more confrontation. There's a lot of ways it could be improved. I do like this movie. I just think it's a tad predictable and wraps up way too fast. Still, for a directorial debut, this is a lovely movie to watch. The camera movements, especially during the possessions and later on with short yet clever one-take tracking shots, are an absolute treat. Also, I really love the sound design here. For what I remember, there's a cool detail where certain noises will clue the viewer into what's really going on, and other times where tiny background noises are amplified to be much more noticeable and unsettling, like a constant creaking of a a bus or a sudden inhale or beep of hospital machines. This is by no means a perfect movie, and I've seen people trying to say that this is like the new Babadook or Hereditary, but I disagree. This film does have a rather obvious homage to a very specific scene from Hereditary, which I really like to see. I thought it was very well done, but I think that this is still the weaker film. Still, as a directorial debut, this is a very strong contender. The directors are a couple of twins named Danny and Michael Philippou. Again, this is their very first movie, having been picked up by A24 for distribution. I need to talk about these two for a minute because the stuff I found when I was doing some background research for this review is just weird. They're actually Australian YouTubers who used to do vlogs and clickbait videos like a lot of other YouTube vloggers. It seems like it wasn't until January of 2020 when one was arrested for a prank involving driving a car underwater that they seemed to buckle down and put their focus elsewhere, thankfully. I would hate it if this film was good and they were like the Australian versions of KSI and Logan Paul, which I haven't watched any of their videos on their YouTube channel, but I sure hope they're not. Speaking of, Michael was actually on the undercard of the KSI and Logan Paul boxing match and won his match by knockout, so yeah, pretty cool, good for him. Their YouTube channel these days under the name Raka Raka is pretty sparse. They still get millions of views, but they don't seem to upload much anymore, which is fine. Make more movies. Oddly enough, looking at their next movies, they were picked out to direct the upcoming Street Fighter movie, which has me absolutely baffled as to how that happened. Street Fighter is a huge IP and these guys aren't even proven directors. Talk to Me has made plenty of splashes in film festivals, but it isn't even publicly available yet. So it's just bizarre to me that such a huge IP is being entrusted to these two, especially given a context where a whole bunch of video game shows and movies are being made and getting tremendous budgets and reviews because people are finally putting effort into telling these stories. So it's just weird to have these two, honestly, nobodies show up, have one hit that isn't even publicly released yet, and immediately get a sign-on for Street Fighter? What? Maybe they're cheap. I don't know. I guess we'll find out later. Horror directors do have a tendency to start doing superhero movies or other action films, like Sam Raimi, for example, but this one just feels like it's a little out of there because they're so new. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But as it stands, Talk to Me is a flawed yet very solid directorial debut. It's scary, emotional, violent, and has fantastic sound design and acting from its leads. It does end up becoming a bit predictable in its latter third, which kind of bugs me the more I think about it now. And Mia starts acting rather stupid, but I guess still in character, I suppose. It's awkward to talk about without spoilers, and I'm not going to tell you any spoilers, but it does get a little weird. It's very much the audience realizes something that the characters do not. At least I noticed. Maybe you guys won't. I don't know. I think the clues are all very, very obvious. If I were to fix this movie a bit, maybe bump it up a little bit, maybe get it to a 9 or sub, I'd rewrite the ending. Maybe the whole climax, actually. I'd keep the actual twist, but I'd lengthen the film a significant amount, maybe 20 minutes, and I'd let Mia have more confrontation with things in her life going on, maybe her father a bit more. There's a big revelation late in the movie, and there's hardly any time spent on it before it starts continuing towards the climax and barreling forward, and that bugs me. If you're gonna have this big revelation, let us sit in it for a little bit. Let us think about it before we suddenly move on and go elsewhere. That's weird. It's okay to take a breath and let these things sink in. It is okay to take your time, especially with big sudden story moments. That specifically could really use a fix. Just a lot of little tweaks here or there, and this would make a much much better movie, maybe jump it up to a 9.5. I think I love the concept. I think there's a lot you can do with this, and I think the directors, even though they're new, really know what they're doing with this, and it works really well. They just need to know that you don't need to have such a fast pace. You can slow down a little bit. Otherwise, this is still an extremely solid film, and I definitely recommend it to go see it when it drops in theaters. Overall, Talk to Me gets an 8.5 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. Oh, I love it when I can guess what the Regal Mystery Movie is. I don't think I've done one before, but this one it's like, oh, it's gonna be rated R. There's only a couple rated R movies coming out, and when we got there, they had A24 giving us surveys to take, so I'm like, okay, it's an A24 movie, so it's going to be either Talk to Me or Cobweb, and I'm still interested in Cobweb, but I'm very glad it was Talk to Me, because yay. I could finally be like, oh, I don't have to keep my eye on this one anymore. Well, I guess I do now that the directors are taking on Street Fighter, which still completely baffles my mind. I don't understand. I do feel like being YouTubers affected this movie, especially in the climax where it just suddenly ramps up the pacing and goes running. Their YouTube content is very much horror adjacent. It's horror comedy, and this is not a horror comedy movie. But YouTube videos, they need quick pacing. They need to be snappy and fast, or else, you lose attention. And you can't really do that with a movie. You can if it has the right story and pacing, but this one, the pacing suddenly rocketed up in the climax when it really needed to slow down a little bit and focus more on emotions and what characters are going through, instead of, oh, we gotta reveal something and we gotta rush towards the end. And I don't know, there's still a lot to digest about this movie, especially the metaphors and the meanings, which again are sometimes on the nose, but overall this is a fun movie to think about and talk about, and I'm excited to join the discussion when this finally does release publicly. Give it a watch. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think about this movie? Are you gonna go see it? Did you already see it? If you have, please no spoilers. I know it's getting a bunch of early showings now. That's how I saw it, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, and after that, don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell, like the video. All of that really helps me grow. My socials are down there in the corner. Please like and subscribe. And that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo, the fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost soul, and I'm just a ghost in your stereo.